Hello YouTube, this is Callum from English Shooting, and I'm outside again to answer one of the common questions that I get. Now, it sort of goes hand in hand. The armed forces and shooting sports both require a gun at some point, and there's people that go into the armed forces because of their interest in guns, and there's also people that pick up an interest in firearms while in the armed forces. So one of the common questions that I get is, can you get a shotgun certificate or a firearm certificate, or can you even shoot at all if you're either in the armed forces or have been in the armed forces? And the simple answer is yes. There's no set exclusion for people that have served in the Navy, Army, Air Force, Police Force, or whatever. You're still a British citizen. Your rights haven't been changed in any way. There's no definite, you can't get a license, you can't shoot because you've been in the armed forces. In my mind, if you've been in the armed forces, you're like a prime candidate to own a gun and be able to handle a gun correctly. You've been taught by the best of the best. You're going to know far more about gun handling than I'm ever going to know. You've done it for a job. However, there can accrue certain difficulties with this topic, and obviously it gets down to the horrific after effects of going to war and being in battles and stuff like that. You get PTSD and other mental health problems because of it. Now, the police department and certainly firearms departments can be very, very wary of this. I think if you've been in the forces, and certainly if you've been out and have fought in the forces, they may look at you a little bit closer, and they may want just that maybe little bit extra reassurance that you are in a good place, you're of sound mind, and you're not going to have a psychotic episode, you're not going to have a PTSD episode effectively. So they may want you to go to your doctor, they may want you to just get a sign off to say, look, I'm completely fine, I'm not affected by what I've done and what I've seen and where I've been, just to reassure them. So on the flip side, I know plenty of people that are either currently in the armed forces and have licenses and take part in shooting, and I know plenty of people that have been in the armed forces and again have their licenses, certificates, and take part in this sport. But I also know some people that have been excluded because of their armed forces past. Now, these people have unfortunately developed PTSD and other mental health issues, which has excluded them from being able to hold a certificate and from being able to take part in the sport safely, which is really sad. But that's not because they were in the armed forces. That's not the definitive reason. Of course, they have that issue because of where they were and the job that they did, but it isn't just because of that. It's the after effects of it that have caused them not to be able to get a certificate, and take part in the sport. So it is just like anybody else. It's just like any other job. There's plenty of other non-armed forces jobs that you could get PTSD from, and if you have PTSD from that job, it will exclude you just the same. It's not about whether you've been a soldier or not. That shouldn't come into play. As I said, they may want just a little bit more reassurance. As a soldier, you probably would have shot at people, you probably would have been shot at. That's not something that we experience every day in sort of civilian life. So it is going to have a different toll on you. You are going to maybe see firearms and shooting a little bit differently, and they just want to be sure. That's all the firearms department ever want to do, is just be 100% certain. If you do have any issues and you are concerned, get in touch with BASC. They are absolutely brilliant. They know their stuff backwards, and they will help you. And I can assure you, there are plenty of people in your position. There's plenty of ex and current servicemen and women that want to get into shooting and want licenses. So they have, people have done it in the past. Yes, there have been issues, but really no more issues than anybody else getting into the sport of shooting. So there you go. I thought I'd give you a quick guide there and a quick So there you go, guys. I thought I'd answer that question for you as quickly as possible and maybe give some reassurance to any current or ex-servicemen and women that want to get into the sport, that you can do it. You're not excluded from the sport at all. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and as always, I hope to see you soon. It's just absolutely incredible, and it takes it all day long. Now, you will know that this gun is